with a man that needs no introduction. But if you've been living under a rock, he has been an all-star NBA. He's been a champion in Europe. I'm of course talking about Pau Gasol. I we're not going to talk about sports right now. We're going to talk about something that's very near and dear to his heart, which is his foundation. So, tell us a little bit about your foundation and when did you start to be concerned about childhood?
Yeah. Well, thank you. Uh, well, we started to be concerned about obesity in 2010. Um, that's when we started to be more aware personally about a trend and a reality that was very worrisome. That it was said that the health of children were squashing, the habits of children were worsening, and were having a very bad effect in their health in the future. So we've seen throughout the last 20 years indexes of overweight and obese children grow uh, rapidly, and that's turned obviously into really bad consequences in adults and healthcare systems and families that have suffered from the consequences of it, cardiovascular diseases, diabetes, cancers, etc. that come from obesity. So we identify this, my brother and I, as the biggest threat that children were exposed worldwide. And we started understanding that it wasn't just the U.S. problem, it was becoming a global problem, and it was not just also a developed problem in the countries, and it was more in also in the developing world. So again, we decided to create our foundation in 2013 here in LA when I was still with the Lakers. We always had our base here in the U.S. We've extended our programs at times in other states, but we're still remain very strong here in Southern California. And we work with great organizations, with YMCA, the Cars and Recreations, with LA Partnerships for Schools, and with the Boys and Girls Clubs as well. So we just been partnering to be able to provide knowledge and programming for kids and families, especially in the vulnerable areas, underserved areas that they need. It's a lot bigger for lack of sometimes resources, access, information. So yeah, we are very committed to it. We will continue to be, will forever be. This is a lifetime and beyond lifetime passion and mission. And we're here to advocate for the health of kids, the children, and their counts.
So there's two different studies that your foundation has followed up on. Is there any results from those studies that surprised you about childhood obesity that you didn't know before until these studies came out?
Yeah, the studies that we led them in Spain. We found out a lot of important stuff through those two studies. Or one was around 2018 that we first launched it. It gave us a picture and information that it was completely unknown, unsearched in Spain, and that's where it gave us the power and the information to go to the government and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is where we are. We need to make this a priority. This is the health and the future of our country. So we saw the numbers. The numbers also were increasingly, one of the things that surprised me was they changed to increasingly a lot more in girls. That girls stop playing sports at an earlier age. Also the influence of social media, the influence of being in front of screens, the overuse of technology, sedentarism, not being active enough. Also, worsening of the diets. So all those things were not were quite kind of a surprising to a certain degree, and but now we knew we had data, we had numbers, that validity, that it wasn't just us reading about it or getting a feel for it. It was us proving what was happening, and then the effect with the second study, we it gave us the pandemic, the COVID pandemic, and gave us also, which was a disruption on families' lives and habits, in children's lives. It gave us also, a picture of how the pandemic and the confinement affected the health of children. And the biggest change that we saw probably it was the effect on their emotional well-being. But there was a lot more depression, a lot more unhappiness, a lot more concern, fear, throughout, not just throughout that time, but it carried over, and the effect that that had also on the health of the kids. So yeah, that's some of the things that we try to highlight with those studies, to provide the enough attention of the situation, and the reality of this, what we call it, the silent pandemic, because it affects so many. It's a very difficult topic, and what we're trying to do is really encourage through our programs, encourage and provide families the knowledge of the tools, so their kids can grow up healthier and prevent the development of obesity.
It's surprising because I would assume it will affect boys more since they're more into video games.
Who
So that surprises me. Nah. So what positive outcome have you seen throughout the years since your organization has been?
Oh, so much, so many. The main thing that I love is how thankful the parents are and the kids are, the families that we serve. Um, we've had a lot of emotional stories and a lot of emotional moments, from the parents just being thankful, because they didn't know a lot of things. They didn't know they had options. They didn't know the effect of certain kind of habits or tendencies or behaviors. So to be able to empower someone, and for that person to be able to help their child or their children grow up healthier and have a better future, that's everything right there. So we've seen a lot of thankfulness, a lot of appreciation. And then we notice more awareness and intervention from top organizations. We created a partnership with UNICEF, where the maybe not that matters, but childhood obesity, global champion for childhood obesity, against childhood obesity, and then also WHO, the World Health Organization. We presented and talked. We were a participant in a Global Health Assembly in Geneva, in Switzerland, last year. So we're trying to, make this a priority, from the political agenda, from the communities, and to make everyone aware of what's going on, and how and that we can control everything, obviously, and but how can we improve the environment, the surroundings that we're exposed, that our children are exposed, and make sure that we protect them.
Now, and finally, what is the one thing you wish parents should know about their child's health?
Oh, well, I mean, just the effect, of different things, that you would know, unless they explain it to you, or you have access. I mean, nowadays we all have access to a lot of information through our mobile devices, but you have to look for it, and you have to be proactive, and again, parents, it's not easy, to be a parent, and you try to provide a family, and try to grind and hustle the best you can, but you can't do it all. So you have to rely on, schools, the system, the environment, the government, to um, to provide a healthy environment for your family, and that's and that's not always the case, right? And so I think for me, it's, for them to know, hey, your kid needs to sleep not just 8 hours like an adult does, but needs to sleep anywhere from 10 to 12 to 11 hours. Or your kid shouldn't be exposed in front of a screen more than 2 hours a day. Or your kid, should be active and do exercise, and, about 60 minutes a day of moderate and vigorous activity. Or you should, be aware that if you eat too ultra processed food, which is very cheap and affordable, it will have a long lasting impact. Or, just small habits at home, the effect of having a meal with your family, and having conversation and all sitting down instead of watching screen, or being separate. The effect of, hey, let's cook together, or let's do something on the weekends together. Let's go on a field trip and let's do activities together. And also those emotional connections are very important. And stimulation for the kids are very important. So just making knowledgeable, on someone that, you wouldn't think that they have an effect, but they do. And when we compound the effect over and over again, it can go both ways, right? So we're just trying to educate, encourage, motivate the parents, and so their kids can grow up as healthy as possible and become the best possible individuals, at least from the health perspective.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sitting with me and talking about these important issues. I do see it as a domino effect, because first starts with the obesity, then depression, and it just eventually gives you a shorter lifespan and a less quality of life.
Good question.
And I thank you for doing what you do.
Thank you, Walter. Appreciate it. Thank you, Eddie.
I'm here.